Let's pivot a little bit, Alma, and talk about something you've talked about in a couple of your recent videos. And that is this kind of emergence of a very self-conscious type of white nationalism on the right. Now, I actually talked earlier in this podcast about how some of this seems to be inflated. You know, there are accounts like in Senegal and like Sri Lanka, posing as these white nationalists. There's a humorous aspect to all this. I mean, wouldn't it be funny if like Nick Fuentes' main following is like Bangladeshis, But putting that aside, there is a movement here, and they say some very abusive things to blacks, to Latinos, to brown people, to people from India. They want to deport legal immigrants. So you have sounded the alarm about this. And can you state why you think this is something that we should not succumb to in the MAGA movement or on the right? What is the importance of the right maintaining a kind of colorblind multiracial coalition?
And thank you for asking me that. I think, unfortunately, we decry a lot of identity politics on the left. And that is something that, we have seen grow pervasive over the last decade. But we are seeing the beginnings of, the embrace of these kinds of ideas you're talking about. The idea that, being American is no longer an idea, but more of an identity associated with a certain type of person. And that's not the America I came to. I've been here for 22 years. And that is not the America that I aspire to. And the funny thing is, I never conceived of my race as anything other than a characteristic I'm asked to put on my passport or something like that, until I came here and realized like the hyper focus on race. The America that I imagined was a place where opportunity saw no color. And what mattered was people willing to put their shoulders to the wheel, leverage the opportunities in front of them, leverage their connections, leverage their education to create a more prosperous situation for themselves and those around them. And so my fear is that we are embracing, in one way or another, a certain kind of low-level bigotry. And for some reason, I feel like it always intersects with anti-Semitism. I don't know why, but it always starts with this idea that in order for us to be truly America first, we have to eschew any kind of responsibility to any other group of people anywhere else. And then it always starts, I think, and this is my personal perspective, that it always starts with a tinge of anti-Semitism. And the reason I say that is most people would say, hey, I'm just, talking about Israeli policy or, policies of, a government and not necessarily identity. However, there's no other country that people talk about like that. Like, how many people are out there making videos talking about the policies of governments in, so many other countries that would be adversaries of ours, right? How many people are making such videos? How many prominent people in the conservative movement are making stories about, Lebanese, foreign policy or, any other kind of country? So the way that I put it, I say, anti-Semitism is like the gateway drug to ideological incoherence. Because what happens is, as soon as you begin to embrace the idea that our support for Israel has something nefarious associated with it, that kind of opens your mind to begin to accept all sorts of conspiracies that in effect, makes you incoherent as someone who is, trying to espouse conservative ideals, because conservatism is agnostic to identity. Conservatism is something that when applied can lift anybody irrespective of their background. And that is where our focus needs to be. America first is about ideas. And if you come to me and you say, well, we shouldn't spend all this money on Israel or that place, I ask you, have you been concerned that we have soldiers in so many other places that are rich countries that, if you were to quantify financially our support for them by just having our bases there, we would have much more expenditure for the support of those economies than we do for Israel. So I see that as the red herring. And unfortunately, it's caught a lot of people in its grasp. And we end up in a place where we're breaking apart the movement because of this. I think it is a spiritual warfare that, for those who are Christians, I say the devil uses this suspicion around Israel as a wedge that grows and grows and grows and tears apart any society. It tore apart Germany, it tore apart other societies, and if we allow it, it will tear us apart. And I can't stand it as an immigrant.